New dietary guidelines say people should eat no more than 70 grams of red meat a day, the equivalent of 3 rashers of bacon or 2 sausages. Eating more than the recommended limit of things like salami, ham, and burgers can increase the risk of developing bowel cancer by 20 to 30%, according to studies. Bowel cancer is the third most common cancer in the UK. About 38,000 people are diagnosed every year, and more than 16,000 die.
Essentially, the disease is 90% curable if you catch it early enough, but the sad thing is that more than 50% of bowel cancers are only diagnosed as a result of an emergency admission to hospital, so the disease is already fairly well advanced, and that kind of cuts down your chances of survival.
The charity says one specific thing does not cause bowel cancer, but being aware of what you eat is an important factor, and the government's recommendations about red meat could be a step in the right direction.
According to these new limits, this steak represents almost a third of my weekly meat intake. But if I stick to these recommendations, will it really reduce my risk of getting bowel cancer? How strong is the link?
Several big scientific studies now have suggested that there may be a link between red and processed meat and cancer, and bowel cancer particularly. And it's difficult to say for certain that this does seem to be a link in terms of people having a higher increased risk of bowel cancer. It doesn't mean everybody who eats meat will get bowel cancer, and it doesn't mean that vegetarians, will not develop bowel cancer.
Although many experts say there is a link, a row has broken out between members of the British meat industry and cancer researchers. Meat producers point to a number of independent scientists who have questioned the evidence linking red meat and cancer. Local butchers seem equally unconvinced with the government's recommendations.
When the government starts telling you what you should eat and what you shouldn't eat, I think it's an infringement of your human rights.
Everyone has a choice and everyone should be able to do what they want.
I would say personally that you could eat less or you cannot eat at all and it will be fine.
On average, British men eat around 90 grams of red and processed meat a day, while women have about 50 grams. So these new limits introduced by the government don't mean a drastic change in our daily diet. The good news is that red meat can still be enjoyed, in moderation. Annika Ostman for City International.